What is production? So production is a process of combining various material inputs and material uh, plans in order to make something for consumption. That is output. In this act of creating an output, a goods or service which has value and contributes to the utility of individuals. The area of economics that focuses on production is referred to as production theory, which in many respects is similar to the consumption or consumer theory in economics. Economic well-being is created in a production process, meaning all economic activities that aim directly or indirectly to satisfy human wants and needs. The degree to which the needs are satisfied is often accepted as a measure of economic well-being. In production, there are two features which explain increasing economic well-being. They are improving quality-price ratio of goods and services and increasing incomes from growing and more efficient market production or total production, which helps in increasing GDP. The most important forms of production are market production, public production, and household production. Market production, public production, and household production. So this is the basic theory that you have got. Now I will be explaining the concept behind production. See, production simply means value addition. Other name for production is value addition. Value addition. Now, what is value addition? Now, two things you need to understand: the meaning of value. Okay. Now, the value term, it's relative to a person. That a person valuing a concept, a person valuing a good, might be different from the other person. Right? Right? Like, just understand a educated person. What's a pen for an educated person? How important the pen is for an educated person. An uneducated won't value the pen more because it's of no use to him. राइट. एक पढ़ा लिखा आदमी के लिए कलम का जो महत्व है वो एक अनपढ़ के लिए नहीं हो सकता है. राइट. So the value that a person, the value for pen for one person might be different for the other. Okay, like you may say that say a temple, the value of a temple for um, a person who believes in that temple might be different, and an atheist who doesn't believe in any religion, for him the value of temple would be different. So that means the value is on how a person is judging a thing. Okay, the term is value judgment. Value judgment. A person who is in his full awareness, in his full conscience, how he is judging a particular event or a particular commodity. It's on that. So value addition, or you may also say utility addition. Production means both value addition and also utility addition. Okay, like suppose we have this, you can see this flow chart here. This flow chart, it's moving from input to process and from process to output. So input, what we are inputting? We are inputting basically raw material for a raw material, and on the other hand this process is the production process we are talking about, and finally it has come to output. So you can see here that input, then we have process, and then output. Raw material hasn't got too much utility for a consumer. Say here we have a consumer named K. Now this consumer K, if he happens to consume directly the raw material, he won't get that much satisfaction as much he is getting by consuming the finished product, which is the output. ये जो कंज्यूमर के है, इसको रॉ मटेरियल को अगर ये डायरेक्ट कंज्यूम करता है तो इसको उतना यूटिलिटी, उतना सेटिस्फेक्शन नहीं मिलेगा जितना उसको ये फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट को कंज्यूम करके मिला है. The same way, in this processing part, where the actual production is occurring, whether we are actually producing or working on the raw material, that much. So what is happening here in this production process? What is happening here? we are adding utility to it. उसको जो extra utility finished product consume करने से आया है, okay, that will be that will happen. Why? Because that will happen because the person is consuming the processed raw material, that is the finished product. So that the process of adding utility, because he is getting an extra utility by consuming the finished product, the process of adding utility is called production. That's why we call the process of adding utility is called production. So in a simple way, we can say that production is an activity that transforms input into output. Input means the raw material and the output is the finished good. So few things more we should understand here, that what are the inputs? Inputs are basically the thing that is to be produced, that is to be converted in order to get the finished product. Now, what is finished product? The finished product is something that is ready for consumption. That is ready for consumption. Finished product is something that is ready for consumption. And the next part we will see that we have a semi-finished or intermediate product. We have a semi-finished or the intermediate product. So the semi-finished or the intermediate product, we call it, we'll see that is yet to be processed. Yet to be processed. Okay, the semi-finished product is consumed by the firms. It is consumed by the firms to produce again the finished goods. Okay, now next part, it's a very essential one, that is the factors of production. Factors of production. What are the factors of production? Everything, anything that helps production, helps production process is called factors of production. Factors of production. Anything that helps production process is called factors of production. हर वो चीज जो प्रोडक्शन में सहायक होता है उसे हम फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन कहते हैं, या इसको हिंदी में कहेंगे प्रोडक्शन या उत्पादन के कारक. उत्पादन के कारक क्या होते हैं? इट विल बी कैपिटल, एंटरप्रेन्योर, लैंड एंड लेबर. पूंजी, एंटरप्रेन्योर को कहते हैं क्या, पता नहीं, एंटरप्रेन्योर को एंटरप्रेन्योर ही कहते होंगे. लैंड इज कॉल्ड लैंड एंड लेबर. Okay, capital, entrepreneur, land and labor, these are the four factors of production. And one more thing, that's technology. Technology is the level of development of production process. Level of development of production process. Level of development of production process. ओके, जितना ज़्यादा डेवलप प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस जितना ज़्यादा डेवलप्ड होगा उतना ज़्यादा उसमें टेक्नोलॉजिकली वो अपग्रेडेड रहेगा. सो वी हैव द फोर फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन: कैपिटल, एंटरप्रेन्योर, लेबर एंड लैंड एंड लेबर. दिस इज द फोर फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. Yes, these are the four factors of production. Now we'll see the flowchart. Look carefully at this flowchart. So this flowchart is about the input, process and output, and its detailing in terms of production. So we have seen the inputs are the capital, entrepreneur, land and labor. These whole four things are coming together and working together to give an output, and the output is the finished product. Output is the finished product. So what we have here? We have seen we are seeing that this capital, entrepreneur, land and labor, they are coming together to give an output, and that output is the finished product. Now, one thing one must understand here that basically what is the functions of each one of them. We'll be discussing this right now. See, capital will include the machineries. It can be either the working capital. It can be either purchasing a technology, anything that requires a huge chunk of money, huge chunk of investment. Capital needs to be invested. Capital needs to be invested. The firm is working on something, and that is the capital. Now, this entrepreneur is a person who is bearing the risk of the curve. It's a person who bears the risk of the firm, who bears the risk of the firm. He is the risk taker. He is the risk taker. He is the entrepreneur. Now, this entrepreneur runs an enterprise. He runs an enterprise. Entrepreneur enterprise चलाता है. So he runs the enterprise. He will be the one who will be bringing together all the factors of production at a point. Entrepreneur will be arranging all the factors of production at a point, and they all will work together, and finally there will be an output. And finally there will be an output, and all these factors of production will be given their rewards for their work, like the capitalists will get interest. The capitalists will get interest, the entrepreneur will get his profit share, the land will get a rent, and this labor will be given a wage. All these are managed by the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur, again, I'll repeat, the entrepreneur is a person who is bringing together all the factors of production together. They are working together, and then we are getting the finished product. And after the sale of finished product, the entrepreneur is getting his profit. Okay, and that's how the process is working. I hope so. This flow chart is clear. Now we'll move to the next part. So in the next part, we'll deal with production function. Okay, now what is production function? Now we all know in mathematical terms, the function is something. It's a program. It's how a particular series of events are working. Okay, in order to give a certain output. So production function can be an equation, a table or a graph presenting the maximum amount of production that a firm can produce from a given set of inputs during a period of time. So that's production function. एक फर्म जो है, जो किसी भी एक कमोडिटी को बना रहा है, वो अपने सारे फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन को अरेंज करके वो कितना आउटपुट दे सकता है, इसका एक मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन को जो होगा उसे हम प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन कहेंगे. Okay, the production function can be an equation, table or graph presenting the maximum amount of production that a firm can produce from a given set of inputs during a period of time. Okay, then we'll see this. This is production function. Actually, this equation means that quantity of output, Q stands for quantity of output, is the function of labor, capital, technology, and so on. Here we are getting n number of factors. N number of factors. This simply means that when n number of factors are together, then we'll get a certain output. This is called factors of production. When they are all together, we get a certain number of output. Okay. So that's it. Q stands for output, L for labor, K for capital, and T for level of technology and other inputs employed in the production process. So we are seeing here there is a physical capital, labor, raw material, and technology. This production, they aid to the production process. That means the production function will comprise of all these, ये सब मिलके किस में आएगा, प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन में, एंड फाइनली यू विल गेट एन आउटपुट. Okay, we also need to have knowledge and managerial skills too in order to get the output, because we need to manage the flow of this physical capital, flow of labor, flow of raw materials, and flow of technology, and then we are going to get an output. Okay, that means these two things are very necessary, that knowledge and managerial skill, because unless a person has a managerial skill, knows how to manage a firm, he has the knowledge of the entire production process, then he cannot manage the physical capital, amount of physical capital he requires, the amount of labor he requires, the amount of raw materials that is required, and the amount of technology infusement that is required. uh, so these things are very essential. These are the things that a person will do basically. See, you are studying managerial economics, right? You are studying managerial economics. Now, managerial economics, as described earlier in the class, that managerial economics is infusing, or you may say applying the economic models to business decision making. This is the only function of studying managerial economics. So, being a manager, what you are required to do, you are required to you are required to maximize the profit of the firm, maximize the profit of the firm. So how you're going to maximize the profit of the firm, you will have to look at the prevailing market conditions. Okay, when the trends are going low, that means the demand for the consumer product has decreased. So at that time you need not increase the say production, you need not increase the production and increase the supply, because that way the revenue will go more below, the revenue would sink, because there is no market demand. So so infusing more product into the market will increase the costs and will reduce the say revenue. So you will be getting less profits, and that is not your target. Your target is to maximize profit. So how you are going to maximize profit? Either you will decrease the cost. Okay, as I said, that the capitalists want interest per unit, labor wants wage, and the say raw material is a variable cost, that's also a cost. So all these things, if you minimize the cost, you will increase the profit. Okay, these are the only things that is required to be done. So that's called managerial skill. Okay, so how the commodity, how these input materials or the factors of production are flowing throughout the production process, and how much is the rate of production of output, how much is the expected profit, what is the range of expected demands, all these things are managed under the production process. So let's see, use of production function. What are the uses of production function? So production function, how to obtain maximum output. Okay, we can use the production function to get the maximum output. It helps the producers to determine whether employing variable inputs costs are profitable, highly useful in long run decisions, and it is least cost combination of input and to produce an output. Okay, so as I said earlier, that production function can be used to find out the least cost, or it's used to minimize the cost of production, and it also helps to increase the revenue, and it also helps to increase profit. So these are the functions of, or you may say, use of production function. So we'll proceed here. Types of production function. We have basically two kinds of production function, short run and long run. So see, one more thing you need to focus upon, and that is the factors of production. So as discussed earlier, factors of production, we have major factors of production, and they are factors of production, and they are say land, labor, capital, and one more thing is entrepreneur. See, now factors are basically of two kinds. One is variable factors, and the other one is fixed factors. Variable and fixed factors. Now what are variable factors? Variable factors, that means its amount in the production process can be altered. Okay, अगर हम एक प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस में अगर जितना एक फैक्टर लग रहा है उसको अगर हम चेंज कर सकते हैं, So that kind of factor will be called variable factor. उसका amount को I can change. I can change the amount of the particular factor engaged in the production process. In such a scenario, it's called variable factor. And when its amount cannot be altered, cannot be changed, it's called fixed factor. Okay, variable factor and fixed factors. So we will distinguish between the types of production function in the same way. Under the short-term production function, we'll have just one variable factor. We'll have just one variable factor. Generally, it is labor. मतलब एक ही फैक्टर को हम लोग चेंज कर सकते हैं, बाकी सारा फिक्स्ड रहता है. Whereas in the long run, only more than one factors of production, more than one factors can be altered or changed. So that's called long run production function. So short run is also called law of variable proportion, and long run is also called law of returns to scale. So today we'll be studying up till here. Tomorrow we'll be elaborating the short run and long run production function. So I will be sharing the PPT with you all, and you all will go through the PPT. And tomorrow in the next class we'll be discussing the kinds of production function, exactly short run and long run, and also we'll be also focusing on the various graphs of production function. We'll be studying isocont curve. We'll be studying isoconts, and we'll be studying about total cost, average cost, marginal cost. All these things will be studying in the next class. So till then, we'll be winding up the class because it's 1:20. And so everyone, if you have any doubt, just post it in the group. The managerial economics group that we have shared in the notes section, you'll be sharing your problems, and we'll be discussing it in the next class. So I hope so the class was quite informative. So I think next class will be offline class. So let's see, we'll wind up the class, and the CR